14, and the Texans hope they can get a clean sweep on a red-hot Indianapolis Colts team this season in 2018. After their 37-34 overtime win in Week 4 at Indianapolis, the Texans haven't lost a game. Houston's defense is allowing just 17.9 points per game during this 9-game win streak. That ranks second in the NFL through Weeks 4 through 13. Deshaun Watson and company have not had a turnover in 5 of the last 6 games. Can the Texans make it 10 straight wins today? It's a big game for both teams that are still hoping for a playoff chance after missing last year's postseason. We'll get into the top stories and answer your fan questions with John Harris. Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon, starts now. Welcome into Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. It's Week 14, and it's a rematch of the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans here at NRG Stadium. It's where the win streak all began against Indy in Week 4. But the Texans want to improve on that win that they had up in Indianapolis. Tyrann Mathieu said he has not stopped thinking about that game where Andrew Luck threw for over 460 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. And T.Y. Hilton, even though he left the game early in the first quarter, he still had 4 catches for 115 yards. Mathieu says they want to limit the big plays today. That's something that they've done a good job of in the last 8 wins since that win at Indianapolis. Now, the Texans' defensive front has a big challenge against that Indianapolis O-line. They've been able to keep Andrew Luck upright and clean. In 5 straight games, Andrew Luck did not have a sack, and J.J. Watt hopes to be able to get one today against Andrew Luck. He says it all starts, though, with stopping the run. This defense has done a good job of that. They've allowed just 3.74 yards per carry on average, and that ranks first in the AFC. Today, Deshaun Watson and company, they'll be back on the field. Keke QT will not be on the field. He's still battling that hamstring injury. He was listed as questionable. He's been ruled out for today's game. Also ruled out right guard Zach Fulton, who was limited with a hand injury in practice. He will be replaced by Greg Mance, who is starting at right guard today. And the Texans' run game, Lamar Miller, Alfred Blue, they are healthy. They're back in the game. They've done a nice job in the last few games, had some big games, and with more on that, here's Drew Doherty from inside the Texans home tunnel with a special guest. Drew.
Yes, Stevie, it is Kids Day, and it's tunnel vision time. So since it's Kids Day, we've got my good buddy Aramis here. Aramis, you ready for another Texans win today?
Yes.
Yes, I like it. The enthusiasm there is palpable. Okay, if the Texans are going to get a win, they could do it many different ways. But one way they've been doing it the last 2 weeks, 6.5 yards per carry by their running backs. Lamar Miller and Alfred Blue have been ripping it up on the ground. You do that, you're going to lead by double digits for 85 minutes out of 120, which is what they've done the last 2 games. So if the Texans can pound the rock and stop the run versus the Colts, win number 10 in a row is coming up. We're going to kick it back inside to you, and for that we turn to Aramis, who says...
Back to you, Dinky.
Thanks so much. I've been called a lot worse than Dinky, Johnny, so I'll take it. It's no big deal. You get your name mispronounced a lot. All right, John Harris joining me now. Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. Week 14. We're here at NRG Stadium. We've got only 2 home games left, both against AFC South opponents. This one obviously a big one, Johnny, against the Colts.
Yeah, no doubt. I was talking to Brian Gain earlier, and he said, most important games on your schedule, division game at home. I mean, that's it. And obviously won a couple weeks ago against Tennessee, got one today, and then won in 2 weeks against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But this one, I think, is that much more important because of where the Colts have gotten to this year. And hopefully we'll keep them on a little bit of a losing streak after losing last week to Jacksonville 6-0.
Yeah, that was a tough loss for Indianapolis, and the Texans defense hope they can sort of replicate what the Jags defense did. That's going to bring us to some of our questions. Bill says, how can the Texans slow down Andrew Luck today?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, and I say this every week in some regard, but tackling's huge. Tackling is massive because Andrew's going to take a lot of checkdowns. He's going to throw the ball to his backs, Naeem Hines and Wilkins and Marlon Mack. And those guys are tough to tackle out in space. And if those guys are picking up 8, 9, 10-yard gains when guys miss tackles, all of a sudden that's giving Andrew more opportunities to throw the ball to Eric Ebron and throw the ball to T.Y. Hilton. So they got to tackle out in space and tackle very well. And most importantly, though, I think it's keeping T.Y. Hilton in front. And what I mean by that is no deep shots. Antonio Callaway had a couple right over here. And they've got to take away the deep shot. Keep him in front. let your underneath defenders play underneath and try and take away 13 as best you can. But most importantly, take away those deep shots. If he catches 10 for 90, you can live with that. If he catches 5 for 175 like last year, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, we don't want to see that TY celebration here today. Definitely not. Sonny wants to know, and this is a great question, is D'Onta Foreman playing today? Obviously, he's a big topic of conversation, being placed on the active roster after that 21-day evaluation period. Johnny, your thoughts on Foreman's status?
Well, he's inactive today, and every time we turn one of those on, that camera, or we turn the radio, we get asked that question about D'Onta Foreman. No, he's inactive today, which I think we sort of expected, just given the time frame of when he was brought onto the 53-man roster. So I think that's going to be a more important question next week. I guess is that the right way of saying it? Not more important, but you're going to be
maybe more relevant next week.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word I'm looking for. More relevant is the right way of saying it because it's very important. There's no doubt it's very important. But he's going to be inactive today. We'll see about next week. It's a 6-day rest. So, look, if something happens out.
Technically still this week.
Yeah, exactly. So, Alfred Blue, Lamar Miller, if something happens today, they get dinged up, then he's going to be ready to go, and he's got to be ready to go next week.
All right, Manuel says, can the Texans clinch the AFC South today? Manuel, obviously with the Titans winning on Thursday night, the Texans cannot clinch even if they win today. But, Johnny, if they win today and they win Saturday, is that enough to do it?
Yes, that's the math. If you win today, then the magic number is 1. And what I mean by that, the magic number, in baseball, magic number is how many times you need the team right behind you or your team. And so the magic number becomes 1 if we win today, meaning we've got 3 final games. We can win one of those, or the Titans could lose one of theirs. That could be a way that Texans within the AFC South. Look, it takes 2 wins. Today would be 1. One of the next 3 weeks wins the division, but you got to hope that these guys are thinking about more than that. It's not just about winning divisions, it's about doing something even better in the AFC and maybe getting all the way to February, which would be kind of nice.
Yeah, Johnny, you bring up a great point because obviously it's not just the division anymore. It's a chance to get a home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They're still playing for that 1st or 2nd seed bye, which is really exciting that we're talking about, especially after the way this season started out this year at 0-3.
Yep.
All right, Toby says, will the Texans go run heavy today offensively?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think they'll try and stay as balanced as possible. I mean, Deshaun threw it 31 times last week. Now, that's the most that he's thrown it in a while. But I think Bill O'Brien coaches the game and calls the game on feel, which I always did because I think if you go in so heavy set on we're going to do this today and then all of a sudden you go out there and they're stopping that, then what do? You got to be able to adjust. So I think he really likes to establish the run game early on, and he did that against Cleveland, and they decided they were getting chunks of yards. So we're like, we're going to stick to the run game. Let's just keep doing it. And they did that against Tennessee. They're getting chunks of yards. Not early, but they started getting them after a while, and then obviously Lamar hit that 97-yarder. So I think they're going to try and establish the run and establish the line of scrimmage and try and knock them off the ball a little bit and see where it puts them. If the Colts are really penetrating, getting upfield, and creating havoc, then they're going to have to try and throw the football. So it feels like at this point this is the type of team that's going to run to set up the pass, but they are also the type of team that can change when they need to, which I kind of like. I like the fact that you can go either way. And then up in Indianapolis, they kind of had to go the other way. They weren't running the ball well, so they had to go with the pass game, and that really ended up hurting the Colts in the long run.
If we look at the trends over the last few weeks, Johnny, it seems like they're not doing either passing or running. They're not doing too much of one or the other. Right. It seems very balanced. It seems like they're running the ball about 25, 30 times. They're passing the ball about 25, 30 times. It seems like it's pretty much an even split. Has that just been the formula for success, or is that just coincidence?
No, I think it's a formula for success. Now, obviously, you're going to run the ball more when you've got big leads. And when we've been playing at home, we've had big leads. So they've been running the ball in the second half. So we'll see today if the Colts get up a little bit or it's tight. We'll see how much they're going to stay to the balance. But I think the balance has really been a key offensively. And sticking to it is very key. And establishing just the physical mindset that you're the more physical team. They've done that the last 2 games. I mean, every time this team walks on the field, they've been the more physical team. They've got to do that and impose their will on the Colts today.
All right, Johnny, I'm going to get your keys to the game first. Let's get to a few shout-outs. Karen from Charlotte, North Carolina. Martha from Pompano Beach, Florida. Jesse from Washington State. Hi to Diana from Germany. Christopher in South Africa. Toby in Las Vegas. Enjoying some Texans football there. All right, Johnny, keys to the game. What do the Texans need to do to make it 10 straight? I cannot believe we're actually saying 10 straight wins.
Well, I think the biggest thing defensively is keep T.Y. Hilton in front. If you keep T.Y. in front, you force Andrew to hold the ball a little bit, you got a chance for your pass rush to get back there. The second thing is you're going to have to show Andrew some different looks he didn't show in the first game and some things he hasn't seen. Move guys around, disguise your coverages, change your fronts up, which rushers are coming. Make them not know where the rushers are coming from. Like, wait a second, Clowney and Water over there, but then they got 4 guys over here. Like, uh-oh, you got to change things up and make him go oblique and not know what he's looking at. Offensively, I think it's to stay balanced. I think it's established a lot of scrimmage and continue to do that. But I think the tight ends got to continue to be involved. I think they can have a good ball game because, look, they're going to try to take away DeAndre Hopkins, and they know about Demaryius Thomas, but it's the tight ends that have been big, especially down in the red zone, figuratively and literally. So I think the tight ends in the passing game, Griff and Akins, and, of course, Jordan Thomas, they got to get involved in the passing game yet again.
I feel like I always say no turnovers. You don't want to give Andrew Luck the ball on a short field. And I think special teams have done a nice job of getting good field position, and that you always want a nice long drive for Andrew Luck. You don't want to make things easy for him, but I like what you had there, Johnny. All right, you can listen to Johnny on Sports Radio 610 on the sideline during the game broadcast. He'll be on after the game as well, and you can check out HoustonTexans.com for all the press conferences, stories, highlights, and more. That's going to do it for us. For Tyler in the studio, Tyler on the field, Jay McDevitt behind the camera, John Harris, I'm DP Sidhu. Thanks so much for watching, and go Texans.
Well, it's